Continue with the Proverbs from chapter 13, verse 13. Who despise the word shall be destroyed, but he that fears the commandment shall be rewarded. Now, in our society, fear is looked at as something really bad, but there's a good kind of fear and bad kind of fear. And actually, I think the misunderstanding what fear even means is a big issue itself. And when we kind of despising the command, it's actually there is no respect. And I think that in this context, the fear has to do more of a respect. And when people say I fear nothing, technically fear is like that kind of fear in terms of respect. It's always present. It never goes out. Either we fear men or we fear God. We fear. It's something that is constant. In a sense, in terms of its presence, it's always there. Now, why I would say that, and you might think that's nonsense, cannot be that way. I don't fear anything, or I sometimes fear something, and I sometimes don't fear something. Now, okay, I'll try to explain it. What I mean by that is that, now, for instance, if fearing parents would be listening what they say and do it because you don't want to get punishment, or you want to respect your father. It depends what kind of fear could be. It can be like a dread, like a bad kind of fear, or it can be kind of good kind of fear, like a respect. You love your parents and you respect your father. For instance, if the father had done good things, or if you respect your mother in terms of, hey, if you get punished or whatever, you see hey, and they set the boundaries for you. At the same time, it creates respect. Every time my father disciplined me in whatever way, I had respect for him. I was like, okay, I need to be, respect, understand that there is a certain type of order, and I'm not on the top of the food chain in this in this family. Whenever I had this kind of rebellious attitude, and then I was disciplined, and that really gave me understanding who's the boss in the house, so to speak. And even though I didn't like it at the moment, but it created certain type of respectful fear, so to speak. Not bad, but I believe a good one. And same thing, so if you don't have fear of parents, and we're kind of yeah, I'm cool, whatever, the issue is probably you have fear of your peers, fear of your friends, fear of what the culture think about you, fear of classmates, fear of co-workers, fear of the boss, fear of whatever, because that stuff is always present. We always will follow something. As a creatures, we always created to follow things. If you don't follow the Lord, we will follow men. If you don't think okay, we don't follow God, we don't follow men, then only option is left, or few options: follow the devil in the sense, or follow ourselves. So then we think we are our own God. But we're always following something. And of course, if we follow ourselves and think we're our own God, we're just deceiving ourselves, and actually the devil is the one that's driving us if we do that. Because if people think that they're their own God, usually they, you can see that the attitude is completely prideful, and, devil fall in pride, and that's what devil made the devil, is actually the pride. So it's important to understand that fear is always present. If you don't fear God, you'll fear something else, and it's going to be a snare to you. And there's another Bible place that, fear of men brings the snare. So if you don't have a respect to God, it will be respect to some kind of men's rules or culture rules or whatever it is, or even subculture rules. If you think about, extreme example would be the gang. The people want to belong to some kind of group or some kind of gang, and there will be fear to those groups' standard. Even it can be such innocent thing as a hunter's club, or some kind of a specific game or hobby that you're playing, and there is some kind of club, and there's certain type of rules there, and people going up the rank, who's sort of like the boss, who's following things. But we designed, this is how God created us to follow. Everybody follow something. And if you don't think you're following something or someone, you're deceiving oneself. This is just how we're made. So that's what I wanted to explain, that we always so-called fear something in a scriptural sense. Not like also, like afraid in that sense, but sort of respecting some kind of rules, written or unwritten. It's like a cultural rules are unwritten. And you can recognize it very quickly if you meet some kind of foreigners who don't understand those unwritten rules, and you see that they don't fit, and they're outside of the grid, so to speak, in that specific context. Or somebody new comes into the company, into whatever, like every company has its own culture, and people tend to kind of fear the company culture or respect it in a way, and then they follow it. So that's what's important to really understand it. And if you do respect, like whatever, for instance, if you respect company rules and you follow through with whatever is expected, you're going to be rewarded. If you don't, probably not. So if you respect the Lord and His commandments and His sort of like a culture that He established in terms of creation, He's going to reward you. And then He's going to promote you. And that's really a blessing. That's where you want to go at. And man can promote you to just a certain extent, but it won't be something that you feel really satisfied, because only God knows what you made for. Only God knows exactly how you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to be holding, so to speak, what you're supposed to be doing, because He made you for a specific purpose. So if you think about pottery, right? Like for instance, there's this cup, right? So the cup is made for a specific purpose. Hold water or coffee or tea. Like in this case, probably it's a coffee or tea. So this has a specific purpose for holding some kind of substance. Now, if there's different kind of pottery, like it can be like flower, vase or whatever, it has a specific purpose. You don't drink a coffee from the vase that meant for, holding big flowers. That would look very weird. You do it from the cup. So same like if you or like somebody position you in an incorrect way, they say like, okay, now you're gonna, be a coffee cup and you look like a vase. So you feel like very uncomfortable and out of place. So just a funny example, but only Lord knows where actually should be positioned correctly. And specific things can be positioned properly. So there can be some people who can find, like a gift test and all kind of stuff, but deep down, you might feel like, I don't like fit exactly how I feel that I'm supposed to be. So that's why we have to sort of fear the Lord in the sense of respecting Him, and then He guides us and leads us into exact place where we need to be. And then it's going to be really a blessing. Continuing with verse 14. The law of the wise is a fountain of life, to depart from the snares of death. So it shows that there is specific law of the wise, which I think you're talking about like elders who've been living, in the fear of God, living in the respect of the Lord, and they've been around the block for a long time, and they've proven to be stable, successful, and walking with God for a long time. I would call that kind of people wise. So they will share their wisdom. They will share the things that really gives you like a fountain of life. And I've been watching different individuals who like maybe in their 60s, 70s, and following their teachings and observing how they're behaving, observing how they're doing things. And then I found out, many things what they said was very accurate in terms of like, okay, if you find somebody doing this, for instance, in terms of a very young person getting into leadership position, there was a, I don't want to mention the name, but there was one specific singer who was just got saved. So of course, in a Christian realm, he was like a little bit like a baby, but he was very much promoted because of the influence he got. And the person who was talking about these kind of people who put in the position very quickly tend to go in pride and then fall away. And that's exactly what happened to this other person. he was sort of like famous rapper, then he became like gospel rap type of thing, make very big hit, and then very big splash. And I was like, wow, this is exactly how this other person, kind of like a wise person who'd been, teaching and being as a minister for 50 years. So, and he's seen so many things, and they tend to see patterns. What kind of things, course of action leads to successful and good living, the way that God prescribes it, or what leads into destruction. So, and that's so rapper. So he actually followed it to the point that he's now claiming to be God himself, talking about pride, and that's sort of like a very good warning. And I think that it's important to build up to serve from the beginning, and serve all the time. So we are serving. We created to serve. If you think about Jesus, give us example by washing disciples' feet. So that clearly shows that what is the main thing is to serve one another. And that's how we show love for one another. And of course, it's in a respectful manner. We don't allow others to abuse us in a sense, but we go where the Lord leads us to serve. And this is what I would like to share with you today. And God bless you.